what does it mean to be Thai? And you want to sound academic and feel academic and get in touch with your identity. So I felt like it was very natural and very part of the norm to be Thai at home, and you walk out, you're still Thai, but you're American at school, and you're learning what you have to learn because this is the world that you have to live in.
Hello สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ Welcome to THAISPORA, the video podcast about the stories of the Thai and Thai diaspora communities in and outside of Thailand. With me, I have another special guest, which is Patchree Jones. Hello, welcome.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะตอนเช้าค่ะ Yeah, it's morning time at your place,
Morning
right?
time.
Oh, great. So I can imagine that you already had breakfast, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big breakfast person, so as long as I have my coffee, I'm gonna be okay.
So you're more kind of like a brunch or lunch type?
Yes. Yeah, late. Usually, whenever I have things in the morning, even when I'm teaching, I teach a morning class. I can't eat before I go and teach because then I'm gonna feel like my stomach's gonna be all grumbly while I'm teaching, and then I don't want to have to run out I can't do this. So I think it comes back from competing. In my younger years, I don't often eat before I have things to do. Maybe like a piece of bread or like a granola bar, and then I'll be good. But this one's not I don't need to run around for this one, so I'm okay.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fine. Can you introduce us yourself and tell us a bit about you?
Of course. Again, my name is Patchree Jones, or Patchree Jones. I am a middle grade fantasy author, and I have two books out currently. One is called Skylight, which is the first book in the Mehk Light Series. It is about a 12-year-old girl named Sophia who gets whisked away into a sky-based kingdom where she realizes everybody knows who she is, but she has never been there at all. And it gets discovered early on that she's the lost princess of the Mehk Kingdom in Tropos, and she's been tossed into a decade-long war where she has to either be the chosen one to help these grown-ups fight this war, all while trying to figure out where she belongs and who she is, and her best friend just happens to come along for the ride. So she's met with winged warriors and horned and winged warriors that are based on the Kinnari, and she's just got her grand old adventure all with all these worries and duties and responsibilities foisted upon her at the age of 12. The second is a small chapter book called The White Elephant of Himapan. That is also based on the folklore of the white elephant, or Chang Puak, and it was just a made-up original folktale, kind of to expand and expose Western audiences to that story, along with introducing National Elephant Day. But I write children's fiction, live in Los Angeles with my husband, my two kids, and I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and thanks you for joining us and also to give us an introduction about your stories and all the books that you published so far. But before we get into this, I have kind of like a little bit of a game or pop quiz that I play with every guest before we get to the real deal. Then I hope you are prepared.
Pop quiz, I'm ready for it. Bring it on.
Okay. This episode is brought to you by me. This podcast aims to shine a light on communities that have often been overlooked, or rather, underrepresented in Western media. In a fast-paced world like ours, I want to tell stories that leave a lasting impression. Creating them in a video format is not only something that I enjoy, but also a way for me to reconnect with and explore my Thai heritage. That said, none of this would be possible without you. You help keep this podcast stay afloat. I know nearly every piece of content out there is asking you to like, share, subscribe. Mine is no different. But truly, I'm grateful for every bit of support and engagement. Thank you and ขอบคุณค่ะ I would like you to complete the following phrases according to your liking. Okay. And the first phrase is, as a Thai woman in the States, I feel.
invisible. In LA, in being in Los Angeles growing up, things are different now. But first off, nobody ever knows I'm Thai. I've been all sorts of things but Thai. We're always lost in the Asian community in general. So I think being a Thai woman in America, I would say I feel invisible.
Next phrase. People assume that
People assume that I'm very friendly. I don't know. In that way, your Asianness kind of automatically places you in this subjective and subservient kind of role. So people would assume that I'm very friendly and soft-spoken. And that's oftentimes in my younger years, as a teen and stuff, I probably would be very accommodating. But as I've grown and I've gotten older, I've probably become more cynical and bitter. So I'm not as friendly to strangers as I would think. But I think people would assume that I'm actually very, once I get to know you, I'm very open and I'm very cordial. But, unfortunately, we just live in a time when you don't always walk around smiling at everybody anymore.
Yeah, I think
Unfortunately.
that much is true though, that especially when it comes to Asian women, that they are seen as very, very polite, not
Mhm,
talking
mhm,
back, and also not,
mhm.
and kind of like serving other people. But I met
Yeah.
also so many Asian women, and also especially Thai women, who
Mhm.
aren't serving these images and who are really, really dominant. Next phrase. I'm attracted to people who have or who are.
Honest and funny. So I would say I'm attracted to people who are honest and who are funny. Someone who's honest, you're gonna feel like, okay, well, you're telling me who you are, as it is. I can either agree with it or not, and then I hope you yield, give the same respect to me, and we don't always have to be on the same page. But if we can sit, have fun, and like watch something still silly and stupid together, then I'm sure we're gonna be the best of friends. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, but there are certain things I remember growing up that if I broke something, I wouldn't want to tell my mom because I'm gonna get in trouble. And you're gonna get hit and you're gonna get spanked, right? Because we're all growing up in a time of corporal punishment. I don't want to get in trouble, and then you had to always be so perfect and so on point. And I want to let my kids know that it's okay to fail, it's okay to make mistakes. And if I show you and I have this lightheartedness, like I think when my kids were really, really young and my daughter would first start school, and I would tell them, I would look at them and I go, okay, you know what? No, you can't tell me that because I'm being very, very serious. And I was so over the top sarcastic. And she's like, oh, yeah, mom, you're being very, very serious. And it's really this lighthearted nature that I want to be open enough.
Yeah, hearing your experiences is so refreshing, because I know from myself and also from other members of the Thai diaspora, where they grew in a very strict household and where complaining about your parents is seen as dishonoring them, and also not really, not really good for the whole environment there, and not very
Yeah.
harmonious.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, we also live in a very competitive society, especially in the West, or
Mhm.
also in Asia. And if you don't stand up for yourself, and if you are not standing up for your own opinion, then who else is going to do this?
Right. Right.
Mm.
No one else is gonna go to bat for you. So, take charge of what you wanna say, what you wanna be, and don't be afraid to go for it. But I definitely think of that, like, as a kid, the first time I went to Thailand, I was 9,
Mm.
and that culture shock, right? So you're coming from America here, I can
Mm.
not that I would talk back to my parents a lot, but there's a sense of freedom. We didn't have as strict of the gender roles growing up. So it's like, I'm not expected to know how to do these things. But when you walk into Thailand, when I went to Thailand the first time, it's knowing all of those rules. And it was such a culture shock of being exposed to, to my uncles and like all these people. I'm like, you were just names. It's like, I just learned about you guys like a month ago. I don't know who any of you are. I've always grown up with just our family unit of 4. And it's like, I know what aunts and uncles are. I know what cousins are. But to meet them for the first time, and I think the greatest culture shock was having an uncle who is older. It's my mom's older brother, and he had sons that were younger than me, but because he's the son of an older uncle, they're higher on the respect list. So it would be for me having this 9-year-old, being a 9-year-old American girl, and the second time I went back, I was 13, having to listen or take orders from kids who are younger than me only because they're the son of an older brother. So it's like the status system and hierarchy system in Thailand was not something that I had to deal with in America.
Yeah. Next phrase, I associate Thailand with
Family. I associate Thailand with family. That's where we're from. And that's where I know my family and my background is from. My mom's side of the family is from Bangkok. My dad's side of the family is from Nakhon Si Thammarat. So they're in the southern part of Thailand. And even though I've only been twice. So it's like I've only spent 2 months in our homeland for all of my 45 years of my life. But those 2 months were so impactful, and there's such a deep, rich heritage. And I know that there's a place across the ocean from here in California, hop on a plane for 18 hours or whatever it is with whatever our stops are, and you can get in touch with family, and this sense of belonging.
last phrase, I'm happy when.
I'm happy when I'm at home. Uh, like when I'm relaxing at home, I've got like a webtoon in front of me, or I'm watching something fun with the family. I enjoy, crazy thought, but I enjoy being at home with my family. Even when we bicker and we fight, but sitting on the sofa in the living room playing games with my kids or watching them play games, it's very relaxing and soothing. And it makes me happy. And you can't always get that outside of your own four walls. And so I would have to say definitely I'm happy when at home, just kind of relaxing, reading, watching TV, and just chit-chatting with my family. So I would say that's when I am happiest. I was born like literally on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, in California, and I've been in California my entire life. Like I said, I'm the only one who was here born in the States. Everybody else in my family, even my older sister, she was born in Thailand, and she came over when she was 2. But I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley. So, and I moved around a little bit, but I've always been in Southern California. So growing up, really close to my family. It's just our unit. It was our unit of 4, mom, dad, me, and my older sister. And we went to school all throughout here. Was still very in touch with the Thai community to the extent that my dad had both parents, they had lots of friends, and they were part of the communities. I remember growing up, we would go, it's only when there are events and festivals and holidays that we would ever go to temple, because we've never been super religious. So we'd go to like Wat Thai is the biggest one. It would be just like a 20-minute drive. And I always loved going because I know, I don't know what anybody's saying because I don't listen to the sermons, but I knew there would be food vendors and I could run around and meet friends. And I was always that rambunctious youngster who you want to look nice in your white pretty dress and your like those nice shiny white shoes that you'd scuff up by the end of the festivals. But I was familiar with the Thai community. We went to Thai school, like I went to Thai school on the weekends, I think from like 5 or 6, and yet I still don't know how to read or write write the language because I would only memorize what I had to learn, and I can like recite it and just copy it down. But as soon as we stopped growing up, like as soon as you stop going to Thai school, then I'm like, I don't remember any of this. I remember maybe like Gokkai and Kokai, and like that's it, right? I can kind of look at them. I can write my name, and I can write like mom. I can write dad. I can write my sister's name, and and that was the extent of it. I know the community's still there. I'm not as involved with it, but we go to the Thai Songkran festivals when they have it once a year. It's not that far from us. We have the weekly night markets now. So the Thai community has grown a bit more. So in Hollywood, we have those exposures, and where it's not just, it is the food to draw you there because Thai food is amazing, but we have like the dance and the other cultural things that people can be exposed to in that nature. You were still American, but you could still be connected to your own original culture and know where your family came from.
I also experienced from other members from other diasporic communities that they are even afraid to visit the home countries of the parents or grandparents because they feel not really a part of this culture because they don't speak the language properly or they don't know the cultural codes or the customs there. But if you are really curious about that, then just go for it, I would say. Just go for it, do a little bit of research. Everyone has a smartphone right now, and you can always check up infos. So no big deal.
Definitely. I mean, the world with the internet, look, you're sitting in Germany. I'm sitting here in Los Angeles, and here we are having this conversation. 20 years ago, this wouldn't be possible. And like we'd have to sit and like send correspondences by mail and wait a week or 2 weeks for things to arrive. Or pay like crazy long distance phone call fees. So the times have changed so the rise of the internet made our world much smaller where we can easily reach across the country and across the world.
So your mom is from the Bangkok area and your father is from Nakhon Si Thammarat, which is in South Thailand. How come that they got together and how come that they wanted to migrate to the US?
Like my father passed away in 2016, so he had gone back to Thailand. They had separated when I was younger. But so growing up, I spent some time with my dad and I spent some time with my mom. When I asked them the story, growing up, I've never heard the story. And it wasn't until I was older and now that when I actually write my Thai inspired stories, I'll sit and I'll ask my mom her long adventures. It's like, tell me your stories growing up, so that I can build the world better for myself. My understanding is once they were like high school, first college years, they both worked at a hotel in Bangkok. And whatever it was about my dad, he has that kind of swagger. He's a really fun, my dad was really fun and open. He's very chatty. And when I see them now, like, I don't know. I don't know how they would have connected because she seems so antisocial. My mom seems very antisocial that when I asked her, like, how would you guys even meet? And she was working at the bar and whatever the hotels or training in like those hotel management programs, because she hated going to school and she hated doing all of that stuff. But he came and he always like, his friend was working there as well, and he would always come and just like be the one who's like sitting at the bar or like sitting at our tables. And they just got around to chatting, talking, because he was also in the hotel management programs. One thing, of course, one thing led to another. They became a pair, and eventually, I think it was after my sister was born, my dad had decided that he wanted to come to America. So that was back in the 70s, whatever the opportunity, maybe having a family kind of told him, hey, I want to find new experiences or a better grounding in a future for them. So he came to the States first because he had friends that were already here and members of the community some of them came from Nakhon as well, and people who were mainly from, I think, that hotel program is what they would tell me. And like a year later, my mom came with my sister, and then they kind of just got settled from there.
And did your parents try to speak Thai with you and your sister while
Yes.
living in the States?
Definitely. We definitely grew up learning Thai. So I've encountered people. It wasn't until later in life. I think especially with writing, I've met other Thai writers where either they're biracial and they weren't exposed to the language as a kid. But in our household, it was a requirement. So I had to learn it. I think my mom would say, she would say, oh, when your sister started school, I was very adamant about it. Like she would go to school. And so I can imagine it's tough for her. She came at age 2. She's going into kindergarten at 5. They're speaking English at school. And she'd try to come back and practice English. And my mom would get mad at her. And so those are just things she would tell me now as an adult, because clearly, one, I wasn't there and I wouldn't remember. But she would say, oh, I was very strict with her, that when she came back and if she tried to speak to me in English, I would get mad. She's like, as the mom, she would say, I would get mad and I would tell her, speak to me in Thai, like speak to me in Thai, พูดไทยอย่างเดียวอยู่บ้านพูดไทย พูด Thai. And she would just be like so adamant about it. So I felt like it was very natural and very part of the norm to be Thai at home, and you walk out, you're still Thai, but you're American at school, and you're learning what you have to learn, because this is the world that you have to live in. I don't think I became critical of it until you're in college and you're trying to wonder and you start questioning, are there, like, what does it mean to be Thai? And you want to sound academic and feel academic and get in touch with your identity. I think coming as a communication major, I would go do rhetorical papers and criticisms of culture, and you felt like you had that political youth side, that you want to question those un-American aspects of being Thai, of having those gender roles, and you try to be critical. But I always say try, because every time I would start these papers and studies as a grad student and an undergrad, trying to be very analytical and judgmental of Thai traditions, because that's part of academia. But when I would write it, I'm not betraying it. I didn't like slander it, and I found different types of inspiration with it. Like, so just looking at like the legend of Chang Puok and how that legend works through, and how you still have to admire this whiteness, but it responds. You walked in trying to be critical of it, and it's like, yo, look at you just learned the power of whiteness, and this is like, not, we shouldn't buy into these colorisms, and like look at, like, sit there, and you should have a more freedom of voice and the right to say what you want. And then as I go through it, it's like, no, but everybody should have their own opinions, and nobody should be shoving anyone's opinions down. So flipping through the two cultures as a kid, didn't find it difficult, tried to be critical of it as a young adult. And now I'm like, I don't care. I'm Thai. Yeah, I'm Thai. You want to call me Thai? You want to call me American? Whatever you want to say. I am what I am, and I don't feel as bothered. So I think it's been a progression of flipping between those two cultures.
Let's go back to your book, actually, the main topic of this episode. Because I'm wondering where your passion for writing came from. Did your parents write, or did your sister write in any
No.
way?
Nobody in my family growing up was very artistic. Well, I guess my dad was musical and musically inclined. He used to, we always had a keyboard in the house, and whereas he was someone who never took formalized lessons, he could still play, and he would play whatever Thai-inspired tunes. He would play the klui a lot, so we had the wooden Thai flutes. And then I would remember growing up that sometimes he would sit and he would just play it. I loved reading as a kid. We went to the library a lot growing up. We had books on tape. And so I just kind of dove into those stories, and I always kind of found a piece, and I liked being in these fanciful worlds. I liked being in the fantasy realm, because it was an escape from whatever your reality was. Watching cartoons. So I think throughout my life, I kind of just developed this love of stories. I didn't write a lot as a kid. And oftentimes when I talk about my career as a writer, I classify myself as a reluctant writer, meaning we have reluctant readers as a kid, right? We have kids who do not want to pick up books. My son is a reluctant reader. I have to like force him to sit and read. And I joke around saying, you haven't even read my book yet. But he's like, I don't have to. You just tell me what the story is. As much as I loved stories, I didn't get into fan fiction as many authors do. But the turning point would be having kids. For me, that's probably why I write kids literature and children's fiction, was when I had my kids, I liked making up stories as a kid, and I would kind of talk, but I didn't tell or share those stories with anyone. But when I had my kids, I would make up stories. I knew it was really important. I tried to read to them a lot when they were younger. When you're laying down and you're trying to get them to go to sleep and it's dark and you're just making up stories. And like the sillier the stories would be, the more fun that they would laugh and giggle. And I liked that time. So I think I would make up a lot of stories once I had my kids. And the Skylight was actually a family project that when my daughter was 9, I would tell her, okay, I used to imagine that when I see glimmers in the sky, they're like portals to other worlds. So we said, okay, well, let's try writing a story like this. And she would write a paragraph and I wrote a paragraph and we kind of traded for about 2 pages. And then she's 9 and she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I was really kind of enamored with that idea and I ran with it. And so I wanted to put down that story. I didn't think it was going to be very Thai inspired, but I started to sit and say, you know what? I think I can craft this and I'm going to create this Thai world as a way to let my kids see themselves in these stories, let them learn the language because I incorporate a lot of Thai into my books. Most of the characters' names are Thai inspired and are Thai words. I have simple phrases that they can easily learn and utilize and talk. It took 4 years to write the first draft of Skylight, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I thought I would self-publish it, and learning how to become a published author was a journey in and of itself. I didn't understand how people found agents or found publishers or went through any of that process. And it took like an additional year. It actually was 2 years until somebody, a small press, decided to pick it up. They're like, you have to write your stories and you have to let people read them. So it's so contradictory when if you want to be an author, you have to share your work. You have to have somebody else fall in love with it just as much as you loved it. Once I found my small press, they loved it. We spent a year going through edits and revisions before it was published in 2024. So then, and then the same year we did the small chapter book, which I had as a story for an anthology, the White Elephant story. And then that was one that my publisher was like, yeah, you know what? I really like this. We want to start doing chapter books. This seems like it has series potential if you have other folklores. And I'm like, I haven't written anything and I write really slow. Like I have my outline for my second book and the follow-up to Skylight. But I think it's been 3 years now since I did it, and I just hit like a block where it's hard for me to actually sit down and write, which is the reluctant writer in me. So the most challenging for the first draft was just actually sitting and doing the physical writing, telling yourself, you have to just get it done. But all the craft things, that can all be fixed. It's just like in editing, right? And you're recording this, we can fix it in post.
Let's head to the actual story of Skylight. And you sent me also a copy of this, which I'm really thankful for, and also read the first 100 pages. And I think it's a very fantastic story, and it's also quite immersive. I think it's the first time that I actually read a Thai children fantasy novel. What did I find is the description of Amazon on your book. And it's starting with, I read out loud, for fans of Hayao Miyazaki, this middle grade novel welcomes you to an immersive Thai fantasy where 12-year-old best friends Sophia and Kara explore the boundaries of family, friendship, and learning to forge your own path. I find it really interesting that Amazon is kind of like compare your work with Hayao Miyazaki, who is the film director of the, I think, well-known Ghibli studios. Where does this comparison come from?
That actually comes from my publisher. When you query a story, you always have to provide comparable titles. So as a writer, and author, you're going out there to be traditionally published, you have to make those connections. And I actually, in the first draft, compared it to Howl's Moving Castle, only because that's like my favorite Ghibli film of all time. I watch it every year. But once it was actually picked up, and then we were creating the marketing concept, Castle in the Sky became very obvious because it's literally a castle or a kingdom in the sky. So they played off of those known titles to be able to draw people in from a marketing perspective. But a lot of times I think our readers and the advanced readers would say, I focus so much on the world building because it's important in fantasy to highlight and have good world building that it gives you that Ghibli-esque visuals.
You first also told a bit about the story quite in the beginning of this episode, that it's about the friends Sophia and Carver, and they are gonna kind of like swept away into this very fantastic world, to the kingdom of Tropos. Are there any parallels between you and the character of Sophia?
I always assume that I don't insert myself into my characters. When I wrote Sophia, I think I actually like my daughter picked the names Sophia and Kara. So those when we first started writing, she selected those names and I stuck with them. I gave them last names and then I gave Sophia a Thai name of Sangfa, which was Skylight translate, like loose Thai translation of Skylight, which was the double innuendos in terms of naming the first book Skylight because it's about Sophia and having those there. I thought of my daughter because she is this quiet, soft-spoken kind of person where she has this shy internal self, but to us, she's very loud and boisterous. I love Kara's no filter personality, and I don't have that, but I would like to. What I do is a lot of times, and I can't say this for all writers, but I know for myself, I write characters of things that I would like to be and I would like to say. And perhaps the internal identity struggles would be where I would find the synergy between Sophia and myself.
There's one scene that I really like in the novel where her mom, I don't want to spoil anything,
Yeah.
where her mom is telling Sophia being different is a privilege. And this is such like a really strong and very impactful phrase that I wish that I've known earlier during my teenage years, because no one was telling me, oh, being different is also a privilege. I think this is also very empowering if you notice that. I mean, it's all right to be biracial or being half
Yeah.
Thai or being half another ethnicity, and you don't need to be ashamed of that.
Yeah, that was definitely the mission going in. So a lot of the parental advice is probably the adult me talking to the young child like me. And so having the opportunity to put those bits of wisdom in, that was definitely important for me. So yes, like teaching her that she struggles, of course, through the story of wanting to listen to mom's advice, but still wanting to be a kid who has their own independent voice. I was definitely the kind of kid growing up who couldn't wait to become an adult. And now that I am an adult, I'm like, wish I can just go back to being a kid. So it's like you have those moments, but definitely it was letting her know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique. Don't be put down or don't feel so burdened by the bullying that you have, right? Because Sophia has to go through those bullying moments and you have those themes of her being so uncertain of herself, but using it as a strength and using your difference, trying to find, hopefully, I'm glad that that touched you because I'm kind of like, I hope when kids see that they can realize, oh yeah, it's really okay for us to be different. And that's why representation is so important in our books and our stories nowadays, especially for the younger children. And we're still working and we're still going through it because publishing wants more diverse stories. But they're not picking them up at a rate that could make any huge impact. But every small impact we have is still important.
I would like to address the Thai folklore influences within the story. Was there like any Thai folklore story that resonates with you the most?
It's really hard for us to find Thai folklore. For me, being here in the States, if I do, we come from such an oral tradition, so not unless someone's written it down, I'm not going to find it. And then even if they have written it down, chances are it's going to be written down in Thai and I can't read it. So I think I really just stuck with making up my own stories based on those mythological characters. So having things like the Kinnari be the Mehk people, they have horns on their heads, so they look like ram horns, and then they have wings, which are coming from their back, which is different from a Kinnari, because Kinnari we're like half bird, and the Kinnari is mostly just for women. The female on the top, and then the like chicken legs on the bottom, and it's different from like the Krut or like the Garuda, or the English word of it, right? Where we see that emblem on all of the Thai passports and like cultural influences. For me, it was researching those mythological characters because I love mythological characters, and then trying to weave them into the story slowly because I know and recognize that Western cultures and like American audiences aren't going to be familiar with it. It was important for me to include those characters. One, because I watched a lot of Thai dramas with my mom growing up, and I loved all of the royal, like, prehistoric period pieces of the yaks coming around, like, scooping kids up and, like, those legends and those stories. They're in they're always wearing the pretty clothes, and they have those big headdresses and wearing their traditional Thai costuming. So, I was inspired by those stories that I heard and watched as a kid and trying to play on modernizing those characters and incorporating it into a newer generation.
And because of this point, I find your story so important because it reflects a very crucial aspect of Thai culture, namely the folklore. And this is also an aspect that many among the Thai diaspora, including me also, aren't really familiar with, because especially growing up in the West, you're only familiar with, like Western fairy tales or Disney movies or any other thing which is close to Western culture, but not to Asian culture, especially stories of folklore from Southeast Asia. And I only know like the terms such as Kinali or like Hanuman or Yak only from my studies, because I still studied in Thailand and also like Thai studies. But if I haven't studied that, I wouldn't know of all these things.
Yeah, I
And
would.
especially if you don't have like this connection to this or any person who's like teaching you about this, then it's really difficult to get access to this kind of knowledge. For people of the Thai diaspora, which methods can you recommend to get familiar with Thai culture, except for having a Wi-Fi access?
Yeah, if you have Wi-Fi, right? Because you can listen to music, you can watch shows, but I know that, yeah, I would say pick up my book, right? Pick up Skylight, try to pick that up. But there are actually a lot of other Thai authors that I've had the pleasure of encountering and learning and meeting through this process of being a writer. I'm thinking one, Salani Goldenberg, is she wrote The Last Pea Hunter or Last Phi Hunter, so FHI, and it's about the ghost walkers. And that's an adult novel, fantasy novel as well, that has Thai inspired books. So if you find it in your books, and she has a second one coming out. But I've gotten to know Sal through the process of writing it. And so because we're Thai writers, that we have we're able to kind of expose those stories and our culture that way. Picking up and finding Thai folklore, we're getting new stories out there. Christina Suntornvat, she wrote The Last Map Maker, A Wish in the Dark, which are also Thai-based worlds. And she has the Guardians series, which is they're kid writers and kid stories, but it's at least exposing other people to this culture. Even looking at other Southeast Asian stories is definitely a good way to be able to just expose yourself to these ideas. Listening to podcasts like this, there are a lot of like Thai podcasts out there now. But if you really want to engage in the culture, we're more than just Thai food and dances, right? We're more than just food and massages. Finding the Thai clubs that are in the local universities in your area. I find that I follow a lot of them on Instagram. And so I see that they're always doing cultural events, right? You're going to have night market nights and that food is always the perfect gateway to learning another culture. But if you go there, you're going to meet people, other Thai people. And we're all members of the diaspora, that if you really want to find a way to get back in touch with those aspects, look and reach to your local campuses and communities, because there's probably a club there somewhere on campus. It's important for us to be connected. We're not outside, and we're not that far apart from each other. So whatever way that you can build that connection, be the one who's okay taking the first step. And then once you're there, you'll realize you're amongst your people, right? However you get there, just find the strength to be able to take that first step and learn about it.
If people want to know more about your work and about the Skylight series, how can they reach out to you?
Perfect. I'm usually across the socials. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky as Patchree Jones. But I spend more time, more political, and Apothecary Diaries fangirling on Twitter as Points Tangent. But the easiest way is the name is unique enough. I have a website. So if you go to patchreejones.com, I'll have all of my links to my socials there. And it does kind of stream and pull things mostly from my Instagram, and the Twitter's on the main page. I'm always active in Write Hive's writing conferences. In about a month, I think we'll have our stories and our panels up available for everybody on YouTube. But I'm always around. So starting at my website, sending me an email. I check my email all the time. But the thing with writers is people feel so nervous to reach out to us because you feel like you're part of this elusive class. And we're just normal people. Yeah, like we're normal people, and we actually love talking about our work. I'm always amazed at anybody who finds it, if anybody encounters it. So I'm always up and open to chit-chatting about it. But writers are actually we're pretty accessible, even like big name ones. Maybe not like super huge. I don't think you can reach it's definitely not now like Stephen King or top tier ones, but new growing writers. I'm always open to chat with people.
Yeah, I will put Patchree's info down below in the description so that you can, if you are interested in her and her work, reach out to her. Patchree, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for sharing with me and talking about your life and your work. I hope the second part of the Skylight is coming out soon. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in and listening to this point, which means you are really interested in this topic and in the Diaspora podcast. Please feel free to listen to another episode or share, subscribe. That would tremendously help me keep going this podcast. And thanks to you again, Patchree, for your time and for chatting with me. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Maka.
My pleasure. ขอบคุณค่ะ